This is the Hawkins vibrational scale. He's written several books. One of them is Power versus Force. I think that was his first one that I became introduced to 25 years ago or so. And if you look over here, these are emotions right over here. And what Hawkins did was he was able to measure emotions on a vibratory scale. So this is measured in hertz. These are low vibration or low energy emotions down here in this area. And then you come up to middle section. Middle section is pride, anger, desire. And then you come up here to 200 and above, and these are higher vibration emotions. This scale has been used to spiritually bypass, to only be in the upper emotions. I'm only in my heart, my throat, my third eye, my crown, and I'm just vibrating high all the time, but I'm not paying attention to the humanness, the emotions, the things that are inside, the things that make me human. And then because of that, I'm also bypassing other people for being human. And so we go up and down the scale all the time, whether we are making ourselves aware of it and being honest with ourselves or not. We will be in shame, and then we can come up to love, acceptance. We can then go back down to apathy. Apathy can be, I'm just numb. Why bother? This is the realm of like hopeless, helpless. Nothing I do is going to work anyway, so I may as well not even try. And so obviously, we all want to experience more of these upper echelon emotions right up here. And in order to do that, we have to be able to go into these lower emotions as well. As oxymoronical as that sounds, this is what we've been talking about throughout our time together. And so we've done processes on letting go. And so Hawkins talked about this process of letting go, releasing, feeling the emotions, and then letting it work out. And so, as far as I know, he was one of the first people to talk about that. And it's based on this. And so you have to go up this scale in order to get to these upper parts. You can't just bypass. We're going up the scale. Now we can go up it quickly, or it could take a while for us to do this. This is the realm of suffering and this vibration. When we get up here, we're getting by. When we get up here, we're in the flow. And then this is our authentic intuition. And a big study was done recently, and they found that authenticity is a higher vibration than love. So when we're being authentic, when our words and our actions match, then that's actually putting us at a higher vibration than love. And when I talk about love, this is universal love. This is not romantic love. This is not love where there's attachments or avoidances. And so how we create suffering in our lives is through one of two things. Number one is being attached to things. And the second one is avoiding things. And so I think we're all familiar with avoidance, especially wanting to avoid these lower level vibrations. Some people get attached to these lower vibration emotions, though. If any of you are familiar with the Enneagram, I think of a number 4 or even a 5. Yeah. Think of the artist that's like really attached to their suffering and seeing the beauty in their suffering. And if I were to let go of the suffering, what would I be? Or I might even be a sellout. And so we can get attached to low vibration emotions. We can also get attached to these high vibration emotions. I want it so much that I'm not being present to what is actually here in this moment. And so, Catherine, you got a little bit of a sample of that earlier in our process together, where it's like, well, I'm just focusing on confidence. I'm focusing on confidence. And so that's an example of, this is this thing that I want, and I want it so bad that I have attachment to it, that I'm not allowing myself to be with whatever's here right now. And so attachment is a concept that can really take a while to get, because it often doesn't make sense for me to say, hey, we're going to set goals and we're going to set intentions, and it's about commitment. How committed am I to it? And then at the same time to say, but don't be attached to it. Like, how can I set a goal and say, yeah, I'm committed to making this happen, but I'm not attached to it? I'd love to get your perspective on this idea of attachment.
I think of attachment as really focusing on what the outcome is and what it looks like. So deciding how it's going to come through. And then what was the other one? Commitment, right? So commitment is saying that you are going to dedicate or put yourself in the direction of heading towards those things.
Mm-hmm.
And so I see them different that way, that again, attachment is you're deciding how it will play out, versus commitment is you're just putting yourself on the path towards.
Very good. Very good. Other ideas? Other thoughts?
I have one. Attachment could also look like um, wanting to only pay attention to and flow energy to that thing, whereas commitment could be you're committed to that, but you're also open to other commitments as well.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
It's for me, and things I've noticed about myself is getting very attached to a certain idea and not realizing when that idea or that goal becomes outdated and not being flexible enough to move into the thing that actually is in my best interest, and instead sort of just continuing to put that attention and that energy and that emotion into the thing that I want to work but isn't, like the proverbial brick wall situation.
So the common thread that I'm hearing in this is the how. So I can have a goal. Let's say my goal is to make $1 million in the next year. I can set that goal and still be committed to making it happen. That means finding ways to make it happen, taking action, and I can also let go of the how. So it could happen in this way that looks most rational to me right now, like with my business. But something else could come up along the path that's guiding me towards another way to do that. And so that's when our noticing, our compass can lead us, our intuition can lead us to somewhere else. But if we're so attached to it has to come about this way, then it can actually keep us from what it is that we want. And so an analogy I like to use is, think of holding a bar of soap in your hand. And if you grab onto that soap too tightly, what happens?
Slips out from your hand.
Yeah. Yep. It'll slip right out. And so how do you have to hold that bar of soap?
Very carefully.
Mm-hmm.
Loosely.
Yeah. Hold it loosely.
Loosely.
Yeah. You hold it loosely so there's enough room for wiggle room for things to flow, but you're holding it. You can keep it. You can move it all over your body and you still maintain control of that. So, but the minute that you're like, oh, I got to make this happen, it'll slip right out. And so it's that energy. It's putting importance. I'm putting so much importance on this thing. It has to happen. It has to work out this way, that the importance of it can actually take me away from what I want, because that importance is bringing me into these low vibration emotions. And so see how desire is down here at 125? That doesn't make it bad, but desire, people also say lust here, but desire has a presupposition of lack. If I'm desiring something, then it means that I don't have it. And what do we know from the be do have, or the be have do? In order for me to have, what do I need to be? I have to be the vibration of that thing. So if I want to be happy, right? We don't have happy per se on here, but let's go with joy. Let's say I'm like, I want joy in my life. I want to be joyful. I want that to be like my predominant energy. What do we know about people that chase happiness?
They're never happy.
Never happy. Because happiness isn't something that you find, it's something that you are. It's something that's present right now, in this moment. It's not out there in the future. Happiness, joy doesn't have a contingency. The if, when, or if then. If I get that car, if I get that job, if I get that partner, then I'll be happy. We must be the happiness, the joy. And that takes away the importance of it. That takes away the attachment, because I don't have to find anything. All I'm doing is recognizing what's already here. I'm recognizing what is already here right now. I'm recognizing the abundance that's here right now. So if I have a goal for $1 million in the next year, there'd be other qualifying questions for me to answer, logic for me to answer in order to get those. Like, okay, what's the most I've ever made before? So is it really logical and rational for me to set a goal of $1 million in a year? Or is that just something that's going to set myself up for failure, to reinforce this idea of, see, I knew it couldn't work anyway. So self-sabotage. And this is what we were talking about earlier in the program with goals. We want to set ourselves up for success. We want to stretch ourselves. We want to take risk, but not set a goal that is pie in the sky. That'd be like me saying, I want to be a doctor. I want to be a doctor in a year. And we all know that that's not possible. There's a system and a process for becoming a doctor, and it takes years and years of study and tests and internships and all of that. And so we need to be able to bring our logic online and not just be in these upper chakras of like, I can just manifest and make it happen. And so up until this point, we've been doing a lot of lower chakra work. We've been working on the first, second, third chakras. Starting first chakra is safety, our basic safety survival needs. And then we go up to belonging, feeling that we belong and are accepted in the world. And then that's also our creative center, our sexual center. That's how, we create in the world, is through that same center. And then our third center, which is where a lot of people get stuck, particularly women and spiritual people. This is, lower this here, our solar plexus right here between the belly button and the rib cage. That's our stomach. That's where our stomach is. And this is where our will is, what we want. This is where our ego is. This is where we can get a big ego and think of ourselves as better than other people and judge others and not accept others, think others need to be the way that we think that they should be, that the world should be how we think it should be, right? This is the realm of ego and will. And we want to aim for a healthy ego, healthy will, so that we're setting up win-win-win situations, a win for me, a win for you, and a win for the world. And so often we have win-lose situations, and particularly when we're in more of the people pleaser, not really being authentic, not allowing our will to shine through what we want, it becomes lose for us and win for the other people around us. And so we want it to be win-win, and then also a win for the world. And so a general rule is you can have anything that you want, anything that you want, as long as it doesn't hurt anyone else, and as long as you're willing to put in the work that it takes to get that. So if I want to be a doctor, there's a lot of work that goes along with that. And am I willing to do that? And so we're using our conscious mind, our logical, rational mind in this instance. And throughout most of today, we're tapping into conscious mind and the power and wisdom of the conscious mind when we use our brain and don't get caught up in delusional thinking. And that delusional thinking comes from avoidance and attachment, not wanting to look at things as they are, not wanting to look at what it will really take to get what we want, thinking we can just manifest things into existence through affirmations, stuff like that. Any questions on this? Okay. So this is a condensed version of that scale. So you can see there's only 7 levels here. It doesn't have all of those same emotions. So these would be the main ones here. And you've heard me talk about before how anger is actually a higher vibration emotion, because underneath that is the apathy, the sadness, the hopeless, helplessness. And so this chart here shows you what the thought process is for each of the levels over here on this left side. And then on the right side, this is the action. Like this, what we did last week. So when we're in apathy, that's victim mode. The world's out to get me. It's a hostile world. It's not a supportive world. I'm a victim to my job, to my partner, to my kids. I'm complaining, and I always seem to be the one that's not on the receiving end of things. And so lethargy comes here. This is the shutting down. I'm just going to tune out, zone out, doom scroll. So when we go up to this next level of anger, then that's conflict that's there. And so this is where conflict can be a good thing. We want conflict because that's the realm of polarity. That's the realm of contrast. And so conflict can be a great thing because it can help us when we are not being averse to it, when we're not avoiding it, when we go into the conflict. Remember, Parissa, I said it always has the possibility of creating deeper connection.
Mm-hmm.
And it can raise our vibration. So embracing conflict is going to get us to the next level of forgiveness and responsibility. But what we tend to do is act in defiance. That's the resistance. That's the 3 R's: resistance, revenge. What's that other one?
Resentment, resistance,
Resentment, resistance, revenge, right? And so that's a form of defiance. And I'll show you. And that's a part of the conflict. But we need to go into this in order to get to the next level. And that's forgiveness. And that's where we're taking responsibility for our part. That's when we're able to let things go. And we're doing it for ourselves. We forgive for ourselves because we're tired of carrying it and being down here in conflict and victim. Now, forgiveness does not mean that we forget. It doesn't mean that we continue to let people into our lives to take advantage of us, to abuse us. We have boundaries, yet we can forgive and love someone from afar. We don't need to let them into our worlds. And so that results in more cooperation, because now I'm coming from a place where I can trust more. Down here, I can't, there's no trust. How can you trust if you are coming from victim, when you think the world is out to get you? So now when you're coming from responsible, you're able to trust more. You're able to let people in. You're able to play together, create together. And then ultimately, when we go up to the next level, be of service. That comes from compassion. Remember the difference between sympathy, empathy, and compassion. Sympathy is you're stuck under a rock. And I go, oh my gosh, that's so sad. That's so terrible. Let me get under the rock with you. And then we move up to empathy, where I'm feeling what you're feeling, but I'm taking that on as well. I'm carrying that with me. And then compassion is I can hold space and I don't need to take that on. But what I can do is I can move that boulder for you. If you want me, if you want my support in removing that boulder. But when people are down here in these lower levels, they don't want to take that boulder off. If they're out there drowning, they want to continue floundering and drowning because it's part of their identity. It's a part of their worldview, their lenses. And so also at compassion, that's where our core thought becomes more concern. And so you might think, oh, like it doesn't get any higher than this, but guess what? It does. Because then we move to peace, and that's where we can have reconciliation. That's where we can move to acceptance. The world doesn't need to be the way we want it to be, and we can accept. Even acceptance of ourselves. Like, you know what? I would prefer that I look like Kim Kardashian, you know, or everyone's getting that flipped up nose, which so many of those are looking so bad. They're looking like pig noses. But people really want something. And so you can either do it, right? Or you can come to a place of acceptance. I accept that this is how I am. It doesn't mean it can't change, but right now, in this moment, this is what is. And I can be with this. So see how we're bringing back a lot of these terms and concepts that we've been working with. So then we go up to joy. And joy, this is where we have synthesis, where everything is coming together. We're getting everything, and we've got that wisdom that comes from it. True wisdom, because we've been through it. We've experienced it. And that's the difference between knowledge and wisdom. Knowledge is I read a book and I have an understanding of something. Wisdom means I've gone through it, or I've helped other people through it. The secondhand wisdom, the secondhand healing that we get. And then level 7, that's absolute passion. That's me the past few months. And now I'm feeling a little bit burned out from 5-6 hour nights of sleep back to back. So I'm somewhere down here a little bit more. I'm not at this place where I'm just like vibrating so high. I'm just like, you know, that's creation. Remember, we talked about you're either consuming or creating. And let's be clear, we all consume, right? We all eat food. We all need food to survive. We all watch TV. We're all consuming, right? But we want to make sure that we're also transmitting, that we're also creating, that we're putting what's inside of us out into the world. Even if we're just doing it for ourselves, for our own enjoyment. And in this realm of absolute passion, that's where we truly get to a place of non-judgment, of accepting the world as it is. Like the serenity prayer, the things that we can change, the things that we cannot change, and having the wisdom to know the difference.
Where in that scale, obviously it's going to be toward the top, would you say that people start expressing authenticity? Where does authenticity sit in that scale?
So authenticity is the highest vibration. Yeah.
Okay, so that's like enlightenment. That's another thing.
Just like love, it can exist at all of the levels. So even if you're down at apathy, love still exists there. So let's go all the way down to the bottom, shame. Shame is love's cry for acceptance. And guilt is love's cry for forgiveness. And grief and apathy are love's cry for remembrance, right? You want to remember things that are important, people that are important. Fear is love's cry for safety. And desire or lust is love's cry for pleasure. And so I share that because, again, this vibrational scale has been used to bring abuse. That if I'm feeling anything in those low vibration emotions, any of my humanness, that I'm doing something wrong. And spiritual teachers and coaches have done this, and we do it to ourselves. I'm supposed to be manifesting all the time. And I was, and why isn't it happening anymore? Why aren't I feeling that bliss and joy? Why aren't I feeling that all the time? We have an aversion to the lower emotions and attachment to the positive, and that creates suffering. But really, love exists at all of these. It's love's cry, it's love's wanting, it's love's desire for that acceptance, for that remembrance, for belonging, for justice. And so it's all love. And authenticity as well has that ability to exist at all of those levels, right? How much more authentic is it for me to be in touch with my anger and for me to fully feel my anger? Responsibility means finding a way to get to choice, though. Finding a way to get to choice so that the anger isn't controlling me. So I'm not stuck here, right? Emotion is energy in motion. We want to let it move. If we attach to the emotion, my parents, they're so fucked up. That's me being attached to anger, being a victim, blaming my parents, not taking responsibility for the fact that I'm an adult now. And yes, those things from my past have affected me up until now, but now I get to choose. I can come to my heart and I can feel love in my heart in this now moment. How does that happen? I can feel happiness and joy right now simply by thinking a thought. And then eventually I don't even need to think a thought. I can just flip a switch and go, here I am, peace, love, joy, right now. Right here. I don't need anything in my external environment to change for me to feel peace, love, joy right now. Now, my external environment could change and I could go into fear. Someone could storm in with a gun and then I'm going to go to fear. That's authentic expression. What am I going to do? Be like, no, I'm not supposed to be in fear. I'm supposed to be in peace, love, joy. So we're going to be going through processes to help you get to these upper echelons here. Sound good? Everyone want that? Yeah.